You are now tuned in to the Chaotic Culture Podcast.
It's the KKP on your mother flipping airways. Hear the name ringing through the halls and the stairways. You were listening to a pod that can segue. All the latest topics guaranteed to fill your headspace. It's a safe place to voice your opinion. Say what you feel just like you're a kid again. Kid to pro and friends, black as obsidian. Chaotic culture, that's the world we living in. So what's the word?
Yo, good morning, afternoon, and evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Chaotic Culture Podcast, the pod where chaos rules and black culture is elevated and supreme. The Chaotic Culture Podcast is brought to you by patreon.com/chaotic culture pod. Please be sure that you subscribe to patreon.com/chaotic culture pod to get bonus episodes and bonus content, and of course, to help keep the lights on. You can subscribe today for just $3. Once again, we appreciate your support. This podcast will deep dive into modern black culture and how millennials, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha, I suppose, can navigate the crazy parts from music, finances, black business highlights, content creators, home ownership, HBCU, sports, black nerdom, anime, wrestling, mental health, community, and so on and so forth. If it encompasses black culture, we are going to cover it. Live from the 410, I am your host and creator of the Chaotic Culture Podcast. This is your boy, Ked the Pro, aka the Calculator Millennial, aka the Encore Presentation.
Can I get an encore? Do you want more?
Aka your favorite toxic adjacent king, Ked the Poet, Ked the Closer, all that good stuff. 843 is me, Baltimore's the place to be. Always chaotic, never toxic. Back again, once again, with your favorite black culture highlights and black culture shenanigans. So, this episode is about a day late, in part because I'm actually coming back from California. For the first time, I actually got a chance to go out to LA, and it was quite the experience. Now, granted, I didn't get a chance to see all of LA, mind you, but for the parts that I did see, I thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I kind of want to go back. I ain't gonna hold you. So, hopefully one day I will get a chance to go back to LA and get a chance to enjoy myself even more. But I did get a chance to go out to the Hollywood area, Melrose, and somehow while going to the grocery store, I ended up on Rosecrans, which is kind of crazy. I didn't think it was that close to the hotel that I was at, but it was there. So yeah, man, Cali was definitely a vibe, and I really want to go back. So whenever that day may be, of course, I will have to find myself back out there again. But anyway, I am joining you guys, of course, by myself. None of my co-hosts are here because this is actually being recorded on Tuesday, February 4th. Usually I record on Mondays and post on Tuesdays. So you will get this episode Wednesday, the 5th. Speaking of which, happy Black History Month. We are still celebrating. Fuck whatever they got going on over there in the, in the federal government. And excuse my language, Mom. I'm sorry. I do apologize for that. I just had to throw that out there because that's how I'm feeling. But yeah, definitely whatever they talking about, forget it. You know why? Because we still gonna celebrate. And just as a point, please be sure, of course, that if you are Black and watching this and you have Black children, please be sure that you are teaching them their history all the way back from the I can't say the beginning of Africa, obviously, because that's too deep. But if you want a good starting point, I'd say talk about Mansa Musa or talk about Shaka Zulu. Like, let's talk about things that were originating in Africa. And then, of course, we can talk about the transatlantic slave trade and the things that Black Americans have done for America. Let's not shy away from our history, and let's not let other or certain people try to erase our history. So, happy Black History Month, ladies and gentlemen. Also, as far as my mental health update, again, I just came back from Cali. I'm doing pretty good. The cough from the flu is still there, but it's not as prevalent as it was last week. So once again, I do apologize if I was like hacking up my brains, and it was just yikes. But we still here. and I'm still healthy, you know, but I will say that I will have to start wearing a mask because apparently tuberculosis is having goodness, see? Still there, but anyway, apparently tuberculosis is still out there. So, and apparently it's making a comeback, and apparently there was an outbreak that was in Ohio and now Kansas and now working its way up to Michigan. I'm going to be masked up for quite a while because ain't no way y'all about to catch me out here with tuberculosis. That is insane. And then, of course, we all know what the government is not doing. CDC not reporting it, obviously, because guess who's in charge? So they don't want to look bad, and they don't want to make the president look bad. But still, I don't know why they just don't actually try to, have a good response team instead of trying to cover up or report who's getting sick and whatnot. But let me not get into that. That's not what this episode is about today. Anyway, for the rest of my mental health, I just want to say, of course, things have been cool. Things have been smooth. Getting ready to start a new work schedule. So the days are still the same, but the hours are a little different. So I'm going to be pretty much working through part of the night. Not looking forward to that part, but it also means that I'm not getting up at the crack of dawn on top of that. But we'll see how the work week goes and if I get adjusted to it. In any case, of course, I will still be putting myself out there. You already know what it is. I'm not comfortable just staying in one place. So we'll see where I end up in the next 4 or 5 months. I'm gonna give myself that time frame to try and make a few differences. And if I'm don't find a job within the next 4 or 5 months, I may just do something crazy. And I don't mean crazy like bad crazy. I mean crazy as in I might take a chance on myself. I've done it before when finding another job. I have no problem doing that again. I have no problems betting on myself. So that's what's going on with me. So big shout out to y'all. And once again, happy Black History Month. I'm probably going to be saying that a lot this episode. So, yeah, if you want to do a Black History Month counter, then by all means, do that for this episode. But I just thought I'd throw that out there. Anyway, what I really wanted to talk about were a couple things. The first thing is why I went to Cali. And the main reason why I decided to go to California was because I wanted to support my college marching band, aka the Hampton University, the Marching Force. And for those who know, or maybe you don't know, I was a member of the Marching Force. I'm a Marching Force alumni. I marched from 2009 to 2013. And so I've also been a volunteer for the band from 2015 up until 2023. And my experience with that band and with the band program, it just really, really is. Let me just say that I love it. I I don't even go to my back to my high school band. I went back a couple times to give back, but truth be told, when it comes to my college marching band, that's that's a love that will never disappear. I seriously and truly love my band program throughout all the years, and despite all the things that I've went through in that band program as well, be they positive or negative experiences, there was nothing like my experience. And that band program shaped me into the man that I am today. So hats off to the marching force. So I went to see them perform at Honda Battle of the Bands because Honda happened to be in LA this year. Now, typically in the past, Honda Battle of the Bands was at the Georgia Dome before that got torn down, and then the Mercedes-Benz Stadium for I believe 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, 18, 19, and 20. And then 2020, with the pandemic, of course, throughout 2020 and 2021, there was no Honda in 2021. I believe there was also no Honda in 2022. And then certain things just started splitting up. There were certain contracts and certain negotiations that really just did not work out. I don't know the full details, but apparently there were some competitions that split. So Atlanta would have their own battle of the bands and Honda would have to find, somewhere else. So Honda in 2024 or 2023, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they actually hosted the Battle of the Bands at Alabama State in Montgomery, or was it Birmingham? Either way, it was in Alabama. And of course, it was outside. I don't know how many people actually showed up because, yeah, even though it's Alabama in the middle of February, it's still cold. So this year, Honda actually moved to SoFi Stadium in LA. And the advertising apparently was so phenomenal throughout the city of LA. That turnout was incredible. Now, did it fill up SoFi Stadium? No. But the crowd was big enough to where it got a really, really good size for SoFi. So I have to give props to the Honda Battle of the Bands marketing team for doing what they could to encourage Black folk, HBCU alum, and those who are inspiring to go to HBCUs to come out and watch these bands perform. Now, the experience at SoFi was crazy. When I say I don't think that there's a bigger football stadium out there, I actually mean it. Now, I've been in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, and that's big. I don't know what the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas looks like, though I'm hoping to go to WrestleMania this year. You know, fingers crossed that I have the money to do so. I'm going to be not spending any money this next month. So, or two, to be honest. So, yeah, I really want to save up for that and we'll see what happens. I am, I was quite amazed. I was quite amazed when I stepped into that stadium because I was just like, yo, this is big. Oh my god, that stadium is huge. It's bigger than the way it looks on TV, trust me. I shared some pictures on my Instagram. If you're not following me, of course, K3D the Pro. And it was just an incredible experience overall. Now, I wanted to get into a little bit of the Honda discussion because I just wanted to give my opinion on the bands and the shows. So, with that, let's talk about the first band that performed, which was my band, Hampton University's Marching Force. One of the things that I wanted to point out was that Hampton had probably the longest show out of all the bands. I think all of the band's shows ranged anywhere between 10 minutes to 13 minutes. Hampton's was supposed to be like 14, but ended up being like a little bit over. I want to say somewhere in that 15 range. The video is on YouTube and it runs about 16 minutes, you know, for edits and for the beginning and things like that. But yeah, I was quite amazed with the show that they had. The drill was a little long, and this is not a critique of the drill itself. It was probably the weakest part of their show. That doesn't mean that it wasn't great. It was great. I'm just saying that everything else after that, it just kept getting better and better and better and better. It was an absolutely phenomenal drill. Shout out to the band for even though being the smallest band there, they were still battle tested and they still have a mighty sound. And the formations, of course, flawless. Shout out to the HU and not Howard, but shout out to the HU formation that Hampton was able to put onto the field. Shout out to Shimmering Sapphire Elegance, which are the um, majorettes, and they did a wonderful, wonderful job with their routine. And of course, y'all already know Sticky Situation, the drum line. Shout out to them. That drum feature was probably the best drum feature out of all the ones that I saw that day. And there was only 3 drum features in the entire Honda feature. You had Hampton, which again is Sticky Situation. You had UAPB, which if I'm not mistaken, their drum line is Too Cold Crank. And then of course you had North Carolina A&T, which is Cold Steel. And yeah, out of all of the drumline performances, Hampton's was, in my opinion, the best. It was the most swagged out. Like, and that's no, I'm gonna be honest for a second. I'm not taking anything away from Cold Steel because they usually put on a great drumline performance. I guess what it was for me is that they kind of toned it down. It wasn't like the crazy, crazy performances that I've seen from them in years past. That's not to say it wasn't good. That's not to say it wasn't clean. It was there. I'm usually more shocked at what they do whenever it comes to these drum features, but this time I guess they kind of kept it simple. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I was just surprised that it wasn't more elaborate. But either way, nobody did anything crazy, like nobody threw any drums or anything like that. But I just felt that Sticky definitely had the best drumline performance out of the three. So that's just me. But Two Cold Crank, they did put in some work as far as like the drumline dancing and grooving during their feature. So I gotta give them credit for that. I definitely enjoyed it. And of course, I did like what Cold Steel ended up doing because they did end up taking the snares off and have somebody hold them while they were chopping up in the air. So I definitely, give them credit where credit is due. It was not like a simple feature. I'm just saying it was less elaborate than their features were in the past. And hopefully that's, I don't get bullied in the comments or I don't have somebody from the Cold Steel, coming at me or anything like that. But yeah, that's just how I see it. And so, I mean, take it how it is. But anyway, back to Hampton's performance. So after the drumline performed, I will say that they did the ballad, which was "Forever My Lady" by Jodeci, which I played when I was in the marching force. However, it was a different version. It was a different arrangement. And of course, you had a student by the name of Jabril who was the soloist. And yeah, he killed that. Jabril is an awesome trumpet player, and he got up there and he absolutely killed that solo. So big shout out to him and big shout out to the entire band. And of course, shout out to the flag line Silky. They had a wonderful performance during the ballad as well. The colors were absolutely phenomenal and beautiful. Yeah. Then we had Ebony Fire come out and they had a great, great routine. And for those who don't know who Ebony Fire is, they are the dance troupe. They had a great routine. Excuse me. And I believe it was a mix, but the main song during that mix was "The Way You Move" by Outkast, and it was turned up really, really fast, which is kind of typical for a Ebony Fire feature. Usually, the BPMs of the songs that they do are turned up a notch. So I definitely have to give them credit because they put on an amazing performance as well. Man, overall, their I-95 show, including the dance feature at the end or the dance mix at the end, was great, phenomenal. And then, of course, at the end of the show, they ended it off with HU Fanfare. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful performance for the marching force. If I had to rank the performances, and I really don't want to do that, but if I had to rank the Honda performances, the three that Hampton has been to, I would say, of course, the Dream Show or the Wakanda Dream Show is still number one, and that might be a little bit of bias because I was the videographer for that, or at least I had the sky shot. But that was a really, really, really elaborate show. And then number two would be this one, this past one. And then in third place would be the first time HU went to Honda Battle of the Bands in 2018. But those were still amazing shows. So once again, big shout out to Dr. Thomas L. Jones Jr. Shout out to his assistant directors, Clifford Cox and Alexander Hamilton. Big shout out to the percussion coordinator, my boy Chalmers Red. Really put in a lot of work with that drum line. And shout out to all the assistants, the arrangers. Big shout out to Trey Rawls, my boy Trey. Y'all have heard him on this podcast before when they had their own when he had his own podcast with Jay. And also shout out to Jay as well. Jay was part of the band staff as well. But overall, an amazing performance. And I know those kids really enjoyed their Honda experience. I know that they will live with that for the rest of their lives. That is something that cannot be taken away from them. And I know the Honda experience can't be taken away from a lot of us either who have participated in Honda before. And this is my first time going as a fan and not as part of the band staff. And I just thoroughly had a good time. But give me like two seconds, guys. I think the intro played twice. I don't know why it did that. I'm probably going to have to remove part of that. Yikes. But anyway, as I was saying, we were talking about Honda Battle of the Bands. And the next band on the list was the UAPB. I believe it's Mighty Marching Machine of the Mid-South, if I'm not mistaken. They're also called M4. Let me just double check. Got to be sure that I got my sources. Let's see. M4. Excuse me. Marching Musical Machine of the Mid-South. So my apologies there. So the next band up was the UAPB. And I will say that the one thing that I loved about their performance was their dance mix. Their dance mix was really, really strong. And I think that they definitely put on a show with that dance mix. I would probably say the weakest part was probably also their drill as well. There were some formations that were kind of like, but they still did a really, really wonderful job. And we'll end up talking about them a little later as well, because there were also stands battles there, and they ended up battling Hampton. So with that in mind, UAPB, they came, did their thing. The next band was the Marching Maroon and White from Alabama A&M University. Now, big shout out to A&M. I have to say that their formations during the drill were impeccable. There was one formation there where they actually had the year that their band was founded. They're the oldest HBCU marching band in the entire nation, by the way. So they had the year that they were founded on. Split in the middle was the Alabama A&M University logo. And when I say that shit looked so beautiful, like, oh my God, that was an amazing formation. One of the biggest things about Alabama A&M as well, and this could also be said for Alabama State, they have such a well-rounded sound. It feels like no section overpowers the other. In both bands, they are uniquely blended to give you that well-rounded sound. And I don't want to take away anything from the other band, i.e. Southern, who we're going to get to in a moment, because Southern is like that. Southern is like that when it comes to sound. But for me, Southern is brass heavy. Like, you don't rarely hear anything from their woodwinds. And that's not to say that, that's what they want. I'm just speaking from my personal point of view that Southern reminds me a lot of a DCI band, just because they are so brass and percussion heavy, but mainly brass heavy. Meanwhile, Alabama State, Alabama A&M, they have more brass than they do woodwinds, but it still balances out. They're not top heavy as far as sections. No section overpowers the other. You're not going to hear like the tubas overpower the trumpets, or the trumpets overpower the euphoniums, or the euphoniums overpowering the clarinets, or the clarinets overpowering the saxophones. They are all blended. Both bands at Alabama A&M and Alabama State were blended very, very well. And I guess the next band we might as well just go into talking about it was, of course, Alabama State. Now, of before I really get into it, yes, the honeybees did their thing. I know that's what y'all gonna ask. The honeybees did their thing. But shout out to the Mighty Marching Hornets, man. Once again, they also had some incredible formations. One of the things that they did was they had the state of Alabama with the A in the middle, great formation. Then they did a formation where they did the state of California. So hats off to them. I'm not sure if it was them or if it was UAPB, but I want to say it was Alabama State. They also did the little cow sign that was the sign for UCLA. If you know, you know, you know. So yeah, big shout out to them. They had some very elaborate formations as well. Loved it from start to finish. The only critique I have, of course, was their dance feature. Dance feature really wasn't like that, but again, their dance mix wasn't the highlight. Their highlight was the honeybees coming and doing their thing. And I just want to say this real quick. Also, shout out to the Stingettes because they don't get enough love. The Stingettes put on amazing performances, and they just they don't get enough love because everybody's so focused on the honeybees. But the Stingettes really come and do their thing, yo. So I just really want people to pay more attention to them. Alabama State has a very, very well-rounded band and a very great band program. But please, please, please pay attention to the Stingettes because they be performing. I'm just gonna say it, they be performing. But again, shout out to the Honeybees. They did their thing. Next was the Human Jukebox, Southern University. Now, Southern are gonna always put on a show, at least from a sound perspective. Their drill, I mean, it's pretty simple. You know, SWAC bands don't typically do anything like too complicated on the field. So the drill itself was not their strength. But when I tell you their sound was absolutely amazing, like it really, really cuts through. You could be listening to them they're not even facing the side that we're on, and I could still hear them clearly. Like, yeah, really ain't much to say. I will say that their version of TV Off by Kendrick Lamar, shit. That was part of their dance mix, and yeah, that joint was great. Like big shout out to Southern, man. They know how to perform. And of course, the Dancing Dolls, amazing. Absolutely amazing to see in person. I believe this was my first time seeing Southern like in person. If it wasn't my first, it was my second. But either way, great, great performance by Southern and by the Dancing Dolls. They really, really, really did their thing. And again, the sound almost filled up the entire stadium. Like I don't know what more I can say about that. Southern to Southern. And they just got invited to the Super Bowl pre-show. So I mean it is what it is, I guess. And then finally, of course, North Carolina A&T, Blue and Gold Marching Machine. Once again, a very well balanced show. Very, very, very strong sound coming from them. Again, as I said, with Cole Steele, not the most elaborate drum feature, but still very, very well done. Golden Light is Golden Light. But you know, they came in, they did their dance routine, and of course, Golden Light also does the flags. They are a true color guard in the sense that they're not split off between dances and flags. No, Golden Light does everything from being majorettes to dancing to flag twirling. Like they do everything. So big shout out to Golden Light as well. And the Blue and Gold Marching Machine once again put on a stellar performance. Now, the reason I'm not going like into too much details because I have one other topic that I want to get to. However, if you want to see these bands perform, please be sure that you go to YouTube and check out every single band performance. I kid you not. They're all on YouTube. They all did phenomenal. Wonderful job. Support our HBCUs. Please be sure that you go and support their pages. Now, I did at least want to talk about their stands battles here real quick. Let's see. We got Honda Battle of and stands battles. I don't know if I'm gonna play any, or I might just play one clip. But in one stands battle, of course, you had North Carolina A&T versus Alabama A&M. Then in the other stands battle, you had Southern versus Alabama State. And then in the other battle, you had UAPB versus Hampton. Now, let's I'll probably like listen to them all again at another point in time, but I just wanted to at least let y'all know like the stance battles were good. They were really good. Like phenomenal, and Southern proves why they are like the king of stance battles. But I think the biggest surprise was Hampton once again. And I gotta prop them up because I don't think people expected Hampton to perform the way that they did against UAPB. Again, we all know Hampton is the smaller band, obviously. And one thing about these SWAC bands is that when they get in them stands, they know how to put on a show. But nobody, I don't think anybody expected Hampton to come the way that they did. And I gotta give props because Hampton's version of Hot Girl, excuse me. But yeah, I was like, ooh, that surprised the hell out of me, man. Hot Girl really, like, it was a if you want a boxing match, that was an uppercut because I don't think anybody saw that coming. Now, big shout out because they also did We Don't Trust You. And it took me a minute to recognize the song, but that one was also done well simultaneously. But still, that Hot Girl rendition, shit. Yes, 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 1,000 times yes. Thank you, Hampton. Thank you, Hampton. So with that, once again, please be sure that you go on YouTube, you check out all of these bands. Please be sure that you continuously support HBCUs because that's what we do. I graduated twice from Hampton, and I love all my HBCUs. My brother went to one, my dad went to one, my mom unfortunately did not, but she still supports. And just like all of us, we did. And shout out to my mom though. She went to an Ivy League school, so there's that. But yeah, big shout out to those 6 schools. I think each school got $50,000 dedicated to their band program. So I'm just looking forward to what the bands have, not only throughout the spring, but what they have in store for next season. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to continuously supporting my marching force. And I believe they play Jackson State in Chicago this year. Don't quote me on that. I have to look it up to be absolutely sure. But if they do play them in the Chicago Classic, oh, best believe I'm going. Best believe I will be there. And best believe I will make sure to once again continuously donate to the band. Speaking of which, I got to make a donation to them in March. Can't do it right now because again, I just came back from Cali and my pockets are looking. Just pay rent too, so yikes. But anyway, I say all of that to say Saturday was a great day for Black music, for Black schools, for Black marching bands. Happy Black History Month. So anyway, that was Saturday. And then Sunday, we had the Grammys. Now, y'all know how we feel about award shows. Y'all know how I feel about award shows. But The Grammys actually did something a little different this year. They added 3,000 more people to their voting body, and their voting body is way more diverse this time. We're talking more women, more people of color, a younger audience that has their ear to music. And so, with that in mind, it means that the Recording Academy is probably a lot less biased than they have been, or rather, the Recording Academy is a lot more diverse. So that way, when they vote for these awards, you can tell that the award winners are more diverse instead of it being, and I hate to say it, but just like the Oscars so white, but instead of being, so more so focused on our Caucasian counterparts. But we're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about all the black artists who won at the Grammys. Now, I wanted to start this off by giving a big shout out to Samara Joy because that girl got a voice on her. Oh my God, Samara Joy. That is one of the best jazz singers out there. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. That lady can sing. That lady can sing. If you have not checked out Samara Joy, what are you doing? Especially if you love jazz. Like, yes, she is one of them ones. So, if you haven't listened to her, please be sure that you do. She actually won a Grammy for A Joyful Holiday, which it's a jazz album, but it's really more like a Christmas album. But yeah, that it's well deserved. So she got best jazz vocal album. She also got best jazz performance for Twinkle Twinkle Little Me, which is also featuring Sullivan Fortner. And yeah, big shout out to her. Then we got best arrangement, instrumental or a cappella, which is Bridge Over Troubled Water, arranged by Jacob Collier, Tori Kelly, and John Legend. So big shout out to them. Best global music album was Al Belong 2, which is Matt B featuring the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. I have to take a listen to that. I'm not familiar with that one. Best African music performance, Thames with Love Me JJ. No surprise there. Best alternative jazz album, which is No More Water, The Gospel of James Baldwin by Michelle Indegeoselo. I think that's how you say it, Indegeoselo or Indegeoselo. I don't want to mess up names, but yeah, I heard that was a great jazz album, so I definitely have to take a listen to that. Best music film, American Symphony by Jean Baptiste. Best song written for visual media, It Never Went Away from American Symphony. Once again, Jean Baptiste. Best comedy album was The Dreamer by Dave Chappelle. No surprise there. Best contemporary Christian album, Heart of a Human by DOE. Best gospel album, More Than This by CeCe Winans. Call me shocked or color me shocked. I actually missed that one, so I didn't know that was the winner. Okay. Best music video. Kendrick Lamar is Not Like Us, so there's one for that. Where were we? Best roots gospel album, Church by Corey Henry. Best country album, Cowboy Carter, Beyonce. And let me just take a moment to say to them CMAs, respectfully, okay, I'm not, I ain't gonna do too much, but respectfully, get more diverse. And I hate saying that, the fact that, we got all these people who are attacking DEI and shit, but clearly, you have a problem with black artists who are in the genre. Take a look at Shabuzi. Take a look at what Beyonce tried to do. Y'all completely shut her out and didn't give her any awards. Why? Because she didn't come to Nashville to kick it with y'all or hang with y'all? Y'all say, oh, it's not a country album. Well, what defines country? We talking pop country that we have nowadays? Because clearly, y'all don't know that country can also have subgenres as well. There's country blues. There's the old time country, like from the Chitlin circuit. There's folk. Like, all of that was incorporated into Beyonce's album because she went back to like the roots of it all. There's even some gospel in there. And some gospel is rooted in country. Or some country is rooted in gospel, depending on how you look at it. But still, it went back to the roots of country, which, by the way, country music was started by whom? Yes, black people. But still, it really was amazing to see that she won. And of course, the face that she made. Oh my God, man. If I really could just recreate that, I would. But I think I'm gonna just I don't know. It's so amazing. I just want to see it. Hold on. Let me see. Yeah, Beyonce wins Best Country Album, and I just want to like, hold on. Let me share. I just want to share her reaction because I can tell that she like really, really didn't expect this. Just if you look.
And the Grammy goes to Cowboy Carter. Beyonce.
Oh, she literally jumped like, what? Yo, funniest reaction ever, dog. She was legit like, yo, what? Legit shocked, and as the girls say, gagged. Like she could not believe that. Like I think she was trying, and we knew that she was trying to get album of the year, which spoiler alert, she won album of the year for Cowboy Carter, but it was just this moment, this reaction to winning best country album. She was, it was like somebody just went, I don't know. I don't want to say slap her in the face, but somebody definitely was like, surprise! In which, and she just didn't notice, like, whoa, time out. Are you sure? But yes, shout out to Beyonce, man. Yo, that was an impeccable reaction. So yeah, let's get back to these awards. Let's see. We did best country album, best country duo / group performance. Two Most Wanted, Beyonce featuring Miley Cyrus. Well, yeah, shout out to Miley. You know, she won a Grammy again. You know, and she won it with Beyonce for that song. It's an amazing song, by the way. I honestly think that I don't know if anybody else deserved it. I don't know because I don't know if Shabuzi was on this one. No, I think he was for best country song, but I know he was nominated 5 times, and unfortunately Shabuzi got shut out again, which is kind of crazy because A Bar Song / Tipsy was the number 1 country song in America for quite some time and probably still going. But yeah, it is what it is. Best rap album. Alligator Bites Never Heal by Doechii. Now, again, it's technically a mixtape, but she wasn't the first person to win Best Rap Album for a mixtape, and she won't be the last. Big shout out to big shout out to Doechii, yo, because yeah, as y'all saw my video on the best hip hop album / projects of 2024, this was number 3 for a reason. If Tyler and Kendrick had not dropped, it would probably be number 1. But this was definitely the best project out of all the rap albums that were nominated for that category. And the other 4 I believe, was Future Metro Boomin, We Don't Trust You. The Auditorium Volume 1, which was Common and Pete Rock. The Death of Some Shady with Eminem. And there was one more off the top of my head. I cannot think of what the other one was, but yeah, this one deserved it. 100%. Best rap song, Not Like Us, Kendrick Lamar. That's 2. Best melodic rap performance, 3 a.m. Rhapsody featuring Eric Badu. And my girl Rhapsody has a Grammy. Let's go. Been waiting for that for a long time, man. She really, really deserved that. So big shout out to Rhapsody and Erica Badu for that Grammy, yo. And 3 a.m., as y'all heard on my video, was one of the highlights of that album. And it rightfully won. Best rap performance. Kendrick Lamar, Not Like Us. That's 3. Yeah. Okay. Best R&B album, 1111 Deluxe by Chris Brown. I guess. I haven't heard it yet. I'm supposed to be listening to it soon, but okay. Best progressive R&B album. It was a tie, actually. Ooh. So Glad to Know You by Avery Sunshine. And Why Lord by No Worries, which is Anderson .Paak and Knowledge. First and foremost, yes to Why Lord. I have to listen to So Glad to Know You. I can't believe I missed that. And it's Avery Sunshine. Like, how am I missing these projects, man? I got to get on it. Best R&B song, Saturn by SZA. No surprise there. Best traditional R&B performance, That's You, Lucky Day. No surprise there. Best R&B performance, Made for Me, live on BET by Money Long. Yeah. Yeah, well deserved. I saw that performance. It was great. Money Long really did that time. Like, that live performance on BET was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Song of the year. Song of the year. Not Like Us. That's 4. Excuse me. And record of the year. Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar. So now that's 5. Kendrick literally just took home 2 of the top 3 Grammys. That's 5 for every WAP. Drake is down bad. I'm sorry. Y'all can say that he's not bothered by it or whatnot. That lawsuit proves that he's bothered by it. A song pretty much calling him a PDF file, a groomer, got weird people around him, and a colonizer just won 5 Grammys, including 2 of the top 3. And Kendrick Lamar basically swept every category that he was in. Mind you, he was nominated 7 times, but the 2 other nominations were for Not Like Us, which was in Best Rap Song and Best Rap Performance. And he can't win twice in the same category unless they're ties for some strange reason. So, yeah, Kendrick swept every single category that he was in. I mean, I really want y'all to know that if y'all continue to sleep on Kendrick, that's on you. But this man drops quality after quality after quality. Now, make no mistake, whenever Kendrick does do wrong, I hold him accountable. However, when it comes to this music shit, Kendrick one of the ones, man. He's definitely the GOAT of this generation. Numbers don't got shit to do with it. Quality projects. Quality projects. And of course, album of the year, Cowboy Carter with Beyonce. Finally, she got that album of the year. Do I think that Renaissance deserved it more? Yes. Do I think Lemonade deserved it more? Yes. But when it comes to Cowboy Carter, I mean, out of all the country albums, this one wasn't like, there was nothing that was really close to her. Maybe Chris Stapleton was the closest. But that was just in the countryside, on the country part of it. When it comes to just albums of the year, Yeah, this nothing's beating this album. I'm sorry. Y'all can say what y'all want about Taylor. Y'all can say what y'all want about Sabrina Carpenter. You can say what you want about Billie Eilish. They had amazing projects, but this year belonged to Beyonce. And I'm glad that she finally got that award that has been dodging her for a good decade. So, those are all of the black winners at the Grammys. This was a night of black excellence. So we had Saturday night Honda Battle of the Bands, and then we had an amazing night at the Grammys. On top of that, Shabuzi had a great performance with Good Times and a bar song. Doechii had a phenomenal performance at the Grammys. And then I can't forget about Ray. If you don't know who Ray is, just look her up. Ray tore that shit down. That was, and her vocals are absolutely amazing. So once again, shout out to all the black performers. Shout out to all the black winners. Happy Black History Month. Yes, we continue to celebrate black excellence over here. We are not going to be hiding, especially in the times that we're in. Happy Black History Month. Gotta do it one more time. And big shout out to Beyonce for her 3 Grammys. She is, of course, still the artist with the most Grammy wins out of everybody. And then once again, shout out to K Dot, who now has 22 Grammy wins, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna have more next year for GNX. That man got 22 wins. He about to be tied with Jay-Z and Kanye, who I think have 24. So yeah, big shout out to K Dot. 2024 was the year of K Dot. Also, big shout out to DJ Mustard. He actually accepted the best rap song, best rap performance, and best music video awards on Kendrick's behalf during the Grammys pre-award show. And then Kendrick came back on stage and accepted the awards for Record of the Year and Song of the Year. And I just like that in one of those, I believe it was for Record of the Year, that when Cardi B first called his name, he had the whole venue packed out to his song, singing that A minor bar. Excuse me. I gotta see it again. I mean, I'm pretty sure all of y'all have seen it a million times at this point, but I just gotta see it again. Just look at this. Look, it's here, everybody. You hear that? Did you hear that? All Drake had to do was leave his family out of it. That's all he had to do. Don't mention Whitley. Excuse me, I said Whitley. Don't mention Whitney on push-ups, and none of this happens. Or maybe it does, but it doesn't happen with him calling you a PDF file. Anyway. Yeah. And lastly, before I get up out of here, I just wanted to also shout out the amazing tribute that they did for one legend, Quincy Jones. You know, we had Herbie Hancock playing the piano. You had Cynthia Erivo singing, I forgot what song that was, but she was on stage singing, which I know everybody's got their opinions on Elphaba. I mean, Yeah, she said some pretty crazy things about Black culture, and yet she's still over here performing. She still did good, but yeah. Then of course you had Stevie singing. He played the harmonica, and then of course he sang "We Are the World," which was of course produced by Quincy and written by Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie. And then you had the android herself. Those who don't know who I'm talking about, let me see if I can pull this up. Anyway, even if I can't, Janelle Monáe came down and performed "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough," which I honestly forgot was produced by Quincy. But she came in there, and y'all can't tell me nothing about Janelle Monáe, boy. She performed for as a tribute to Prince, and now she's embodying Michael Jackson. That is one talented woman, and I realize I don't got enough time, so I'm not going to, show it. But still, that is one talented woman. And I'm just saying, if Janelle Monáe ever decided that she wanted to walk my way, yeah, that's all I'm saying. I know she prefers women, but yeah, still. In any case, guys, that was that. Oh, and big shout out to Alicia Keys for the Dr. Dre Ambassador Award. And she did make a speech about, why diversity is important. And so I hope that you get a chance to watch her speech from the Grammys and really take that to heart, because without diversity, we don't get like the diverse music backgrounds. We don't get all of these people coming and making great music. We don't get all of these great minds creating great content or even just inventing things for American culture. Without diversity, we are lost. And people will try to say that, DEI is anti-white, and it's not. It just means to open up the floor and to open it up for more people who were shut out because of racist practices. And yet, here we are again with an administration and a federal government trying to take us back to 1920 in real time. And y'all know what happened at the end of the 1920s. So that's all I'm going to say on that. Thank you all for joining me for this episode. Again, I know I'm a day late, but, I had to do this episode. I'm actually going to be doing a bonus episode a little bit later as well. We are going to be talking about the Royal Rumble and giving our review of the Royal Rumble and a little bit of the review of the Raw after the Royal Rumble. It is WrestleMania season, so we are getting geared for that. And I may do something a little different. I have a plan. I can't tell you all about the plan just yet, but I have a plan when it comes to wrestling. I'm going to draft up this plan and then see who would be interested, and then we'll go from there. But until then, big shout out to, again, all the Black performers, all the Black bands, all HBCUs, all the Black Grammy winners, and happy Black History Month. Shortest month of the year, but still, we celebrating. In any case, guys, let's go ahead and wrap up. I've got no other highlights to share, so we'll go ahead and we'll end with the rundown as soon as I can find my list. There we go. So, big shout out, of course, to Shogo High and Inside the Mind of a Blur. Those are the other two pods that I'm a part of. Big shout out to Mike Check, Waifu, and Blaname Podcast. I am Patreon subscribers to both of those pods. Please be sure that, of course, you check them out as well. Blaname seems to be back in full swing, so big shout out to Mike and Sine. And, of course, for Mike Check, Waifu, big shout out to my boys Polo and Tel. And shout out to the Truth and Transparency Podcast with Brother X, the Culture Scientist, and Mr. Smith. Please be sure that you check out It's So Real with Raquel and Onaji. I think they're still doing it. I'll have to ask them. Big shout out to Dad Needs to Talk with Rob, the father of Vash. Analytical with Shit Gets Critical. I think they're still going. Shout out to Geek Set Podcast, which stay tuned for that. We will have a special guest from Geek Set coming here for the month of February. Anime Junkies, 3 Weaves in a Podcast. Shout out to Those Anime Girls. Big shout out to The Commute. And shout out to Black Geek Energy with my boys DeMarket and Jared. So big shout out to Jardo. Our Black content creators, big shout out to Off Black Mag with Aaron, HBCU Anime with Evan, Cerberus Entertainment, Tatted Poodle, The Geeky Gamer. Big shout out to Shelby with Simply Janine, Simply Baked, and Rose Less Traveled. Big shout out to Hubtaku whenever they come back. Strange Keith with Idols to Icons. Big shout out to Toasty Marshmallow. And of course, shout out to the Corner 5 with Simone, Courtney 5, Chris, and Sham. And speaking of which, I believe the Corner 5 was nominated for a Game Her Awards. So if you're not sure what the Game Her Awards, definitely follow them on X/Twitter. And if you're familiar with the Corner 5 and the work that they've put in, please be sure that you go and vote for them. They are an amazing group of young women and young content creators, and I love all 5 of them. So big shout out to them. And of course, Scuba Steve and Alpha with Blur Mind Productions. Please be sure that you read Wake the Dead. And for our Black artists, shout out to NASA, Scoozy, Jack Union, Phil.me, Ellis Quinn, RJ Stackhouse, Quarter, Tyrone Leak Jr., Ari Lachelle, who is also a part of the Recording Academy. So big shout out to her and her votes. Zach Hines with Fortresses. Big shout out to Elena. Big shout out to Zainab. And of course, Imogen. And for our Black businesses, shout out to Already Paid by Dre, Fresheners, Righteous Minds by Timo, KSS Brand by Christina, Cream Cosmetics by Naima, My Note for Money by Tremaine, Studio Maho with Pat and Yin. Big shout out to Concept Moon. Big shout out to She Designs 2 with Aaron, Black Magic / Lit Wands by Lauren T, H4 Creative by Zenobia, Real Estate Stone by Meredith, Soul by Bell by Mariah, GVGVO by NASA, and Scrappy Sentiment with Sappy. I think I covered everybody. I think I covered everything. So yeah, let's go ahead and sign off. Excuse me. Be sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the Chaotic Culture Podcast on your favorite DSP. Please be sure that you subscribe to the Patreon for early access to the podcast and bonus episodes of the podcast. Once again, you can subscribe at any of the 4 levels listed, whether it be $3, $5, $7, or $10. Once again, we still appreciate your support. You can follow our Facebook page at Chaotic Culture Podcast. You can also follow us on IG at Chaotic Culture Pod, as well as on Threads at Chaotic Culture Pod. And you can follow us on X/Twitter at Chaotic Culture 1. You can also follow us on Blue Sky at chaoticculture.bsky.social. Now, you can follow me, Ked the Pro, that's K33 the Pro, on all social media. You can follow Scuba Steve at Scuba Steve 1428 on all social media. You can follow Law on Instagram at L.JR_96. And you can follow him on X/Twitter at Law96_. You can follow Sappy on all social media at Scraps14. You can follow Jay at Jaylee Trey on all social media, and you can follow Miss Nasa at I'm Nakasa on all social media. All right, guys. Well, this has been another episode of the Chaotic Culture Podcast. So until next time, folks, remember, embrace the culture, chaos rules. Be blessed, be safe. God is love. And we are out of here. Deuces. And once again, happy Black History Month. You already know what time it is. Happy Black History Month.
So what's the word?
You are now tuned in to the Chaotic Culture Podcast.